pretty intense, man.
Yeah, it was. Okay, we're here. We're live. We're ready to go. Let's give a little greeting and a shout out to everybody here. Hi, everybody. It's Jamie and Michelle in Hawaii.
Hi.
So, some of our big news is we have a hurricane possibly on its way.
Possibly.
And that
we
could.
hear that a lot.
So we will be battening down the hatches soon, which is awesome because beading is the best thing to do at home if you have nothing else to do, especially if you don't have electricity.
No. Well, if it's daytime, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much nighttime because beading by candlelight's a little hard.
How did people bead before we had electricity?
They did it during the day.
During the day.
Yes.
So while we're kind of just waiting for our friends to join us today, let's talk about the love story. There's a lot to say about it because it's cute, easy.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily fast because
just-
that is
yeah.
a lot of knotting and a lot of teeny beads
Yeah.
going on that string. So maybe I may not finish my project in the time allotted.
It's my favorite kit.
It's funny because
Maybe I will though. I don't know. So
we
we'll
never know
see.
with Michelle. She might, so we'll kind of like
I'm
cheer her on.
intense.
Too bad there's not like a clap button so everyone can clap for you and be like, go, go, so like a marathon
Yeah, I
so
don't
you can make
know.
it. Okay, I'm gonna step to the side so you can talk a little bit about the project and we're gonna
Okay.
get started. And just remember, if you guys have any questions at any time, just comment because we can read the questions and Michelle and I can answer it and help you along so that you can also make this project. And we also have it as a static YouTube video tutorial. So
On the channel.
yeah, so you can watch it live with Michelle, ask questions, and then you can watch it not live with Michelle, a younger Michelle, because we did this.
Oh my goodness.
Couple years, we did this
5
years
years
ago.
ago,
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah. So thanks for the warm up. That's our introduction, and let us get started.
All right. Hey, everybody. So today's project is a love story. It's a macrame technique. So macrame is just square knotting with thread. But this has a little bit of a twist because we do the macrame of the really skinny string around a thicker leather core. And that kind of gives you a nice look because it gives the bracelet some body, some substance. And then we did the beads on the outside of the knots instead of the inside of the knots. So instead of the thread framing each bead, the beads are framing the core. Just kind of a cool twist to this technique. But again, it's macrame, so we're going to be using a couple of different kinds of cord. We're going to be using some leather. This is going to be the core, and that's what we're going to be knotting around. This happens to be 1 millimeter kangaroo leather. We picked kangaroo because it's really strong and it has a nice feel to it. Yeah, so we'll be using this. You can use pretty much anything for your core as long as it's on the thicker side. So you can use pleather. You can use thicker leather because that'll give you a nice cuff look. So we've seen it up to like 3 millimeter, I think, leather core. That was really nice. You can knot larger beads around it too. So you need a leather core or something comparable. And then we're going to use microcord. That's the stuff here. This is a thin nylon cord that we're going to use to do the knotting and stringing the beads. We really like this one because it is very thin. So it fits through pretty much any bead out there, amazingly. It's nylon, so it knots pretty easily. You got to kind of pull tight. And then the best thing about it is if you want to seal your knot at the end, you can very carefully burn it with a lighter or a thread zapper because it's nylon, so it'll melt. So you can seal your knot that way. It also is small enough that when I make a knot, I can seal it with glue and it's not that noticeable too. So I usually like to do that because I'm paranoid about burning my knot off or my project. So I'm play safe and I like to use glue, but you can use a lighter or the thread zapper to kind of seal this, and it's nylon. We call this one microcord. This is the thinnest of our nylon cords that we sell on a spool, like this. Okay, you can use a thicker thread with like beads that have larger holes if you want more of a look where you can see more of the thread. This one, because the thread is so thin, your knots are going to be kind of on the smaller side, and that's the look you're going to get with this. Okay, so we're using leather and microcord. Here we go. Okay, and I'm going to use some small gemstones like this. These are faceted rondelles of different kinds of stones, and I think I'm going to alternate it with these 2mm sterling round beads. So in this sample over here we have like 3 to 4mm gemstones alternating with size 11 seed beads, and I kind of like that look of the big and small, so I'm going to use these silver rounds instead of the seed beads because these are sterling. They're like deluxe seed beads, so I like those. Okay, so we'll try that and we'll see how that looks. And we're going to use these little end crimps to finish off the leather. Okay, so basically what our end crimps are is they're like a little tube. A little tube with a loop at the top. Okay, that's how we're going to attach our clasp. Kind of looks like this one. Although this sample is really dark. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, so you see here there's the tube with the loop, and then we attach the clasp to it. So end crimps are a way that you can attach your findings, your endings, like your clasps or your rings, to leather or any other kinds of cord. Okay, it's very, very useful. These are end crimps. We carry them in a multitude of sizes because you want to find the best fit for your cord. You don't want to use a really, really big crimp for some really skinny cord because it might not hold so good. So you want it to be on the fitted side, but you also don't want it to be so tight that you have a very hard time putting the thread in. Okay? And then for this particular project, I'm going to use this. We have a little findings pack that we sell online. This one comes with 2 magnet clasps, so I'm going to use one. Oh. This is a little small magnet clasp here. I'm going to use that for the ending, and some jump rings to attach it. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. My jump rings. I need 2 of those, and then I'm going to have a piece of safety chain, because whenever you use a magnet clasp, you like to use safety chain just to kind of hold the ends together in case your magnet gets stuck to something and your bracelet opens up. The chain keeps the bracelet from falling off your wrist when you wear it, so you don't lose it, or you don't lose it so easily. So you can use any kind of chain as long as it fits the jump rings. Is cool. Okay, I'm going to use this one because it's decorative and it's easy to use because the links are really big. So that's in our findings pack if you need all this stuff. Okay. All right, I think that's about all the supplies you need for this. You really don't need very much. Okay, some beads, 2 kinds of thread, and some findings, and then we can get started. Is everybody ready? I want to see it. Okay, let's get started.
We need that. We really do need that.
Yeah.
We do need that top thing. Okay, let's move over here.
Okay. Oh, get my tools.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting off with this is about 1.5 foot of leather. You're obviously going to need less, but in my book, it's always nice to have a little extra in case you change your mind about what you want to do with something. So it's better to have too much than too little. Okay, and I'm going to fold it in half You can cut this in half if you want to, but my end crimp is kind of big enough that I can just push that folded in end into my crimp. Like this. So it was easy enough that I could just shove it in there, but you can cut it and put the two ends in there. It's up to you. And then what I'm going to do is you want the leather ends to be flush to the edge of the crimp, like this. And then we're going to get our chain nose plier, that's this one here. And I'm going to put my chain nose plier on this middle band right here. Okay, can everybody see? And only the middle band, not the two rings. We don't want to cover those on the end. And when you squish it, you want to make sure that this ring at the end is lying in the same plane as the jaw of the plier. So if you moved your plier straight up, it'd be like you're squishing the loop. Okay, so I'm going to squish the middle band just to pinch my leather into the crimp. All right, and you want to pinch it really hard because you don't want the leather to fall out. And so you can hold it while pinching and make sure that the leather doesn't slip. Okay, and that feels really good. And again, the two ends are about the same length here. Okay. Next, I'm going to affix my crimp piece of leather to my Rex board. So I'm going to put a scrap piece of cord, this is a scrap piece of leather. I'm going to put it into the loop of my end crimp. Then I'm going to get my Rex board. So basically this is a clipboard, regular office clipboard with a chunk of wood stuck in there. So they had to take off the clip, stick this wood in there, and rivet everything back together. What that does is it gives you a little bit of height at the beginning of the board and your piece, so you can get your threads under there and your hands, okay, very easily. So it provides a little bit of a raised surface for your piece. Okay, so I'm going to clip my cord like this, and then I'm going to stretch the cord all the way across, and here we go. I'm going to stretch it all the way across, and then I'm going to use a binder clip to pinch the leather at this end onto the board. Just like that. Okay, so if you look at it sideways, you can see there's a space over here. And it's raised, it's high here, and then it angles downward to the end of the board. Okay. And then now we're pretty much ready to macrame. So I have a piece of microcord already cut. I cut about 2 yards. Now that's going to be kind of excessive, but just work with me. I'm going to fold it kind of in half. You want to find the center. And I'm going to put that under like this, and I'm going to tie my first knot. That's sort of a half of a square knot. Make like you're tying your shoe. Like this. Okay, and you want to tie it pretty tight around the leather. Okay, and when you do macrame, you do it in a set of P's and 4s. We have this, a more in-depth version of this technique on our channel. You can look at either the adjustable sliding knot bracelet video or the Bodhi bracelet video. Okay, and then you'll see a more in-depth look at how to make these knots. Those techniques though show knotting around beads. We're going to make it a little bit different this time, and again we're going to be knotting on the outside of the core, but the knot technique is exactly the same. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a P and a 4. You can just ignore that I made that first knot to stick the thread onto my leather. So I'll show you a P. We're going to be doing this repeatedly. So I made a P with my right string like this, and then it goes over the leather core like that. Then I'm going to take my left string and go over the leg of this side, under the core, and through the loop of the P. Like so. Okay. And then we're going to do a 4. So when you do a 4, you take the left string and you angle it like this so you can see the number 4. And the right string I'm going to take over the leg, under the core, like this, and through the loop of the 4. When you do this, you kind of catch the leather core with the strings and you're knotting around it. Yes.
I'm gonna say, let me see if I can rotate the screen so they can see it the same way you're doing it.
Okay. While you do that, I'm going to shove my beads to the side so you can see. I can see all of them.
Okay.
There we go.
Flip. Horizontal. Nope. Flip. Vertical. How's that?
Okay. That looks good. Okay, so they rotated the screen, so now you're seeing what I'm seeing and not the opposite. So let's hope this works.
Sure.
Okay, so I did a P and a 4. Now I'm going to string a bead on each of my thread ends. Okay. So I think this time, instead of doing pairs of gems and then pairs of small beads and then pairs of gems, I'm going to do a gemstone and a silver bead, one on each string, and then I'm going to alternate them. Okay, so this first one, I'm going to put the gem on the left and the silver bead going to go on the right. And we'll see how this looks. I have no idea how this looks, so we'll see. If it doesn't look so good and I'm not happy, then I will untie it. Okay, and you want to push the beads all the way up to your leather. Okay, so they're right there. And I'm going to do a set of a P. Okay. Like this. And then we're going to do a 4. And notice I'm working with a portion of the thread that's really close to the bead. So I'm not working with the ends of the thread, I'm working with sections that are closer. Okay, so that's the first one. Now I'm going to try and alternate and put the silver bead on the left side and the gem on the right, and we'll see how that looks. Kind of take a moment to assess. Okay, and then the microcord is really nice. It's very thin, but sometimes people have trouble stringing teeny beads on thread that doesn't have a needle on it. I have a couple of tips. One is you got to make sure that the tips of the thread are very sharp, like pointed, so you can always take a scissors, trim it at an angle. Okay, and then it'll be skinnier at the tip, so it's easier to push into the beads. Another trick that you can do is you hold as close to the tip as possible of the thread. Okay, you don't want to go way back here because you can't control the string. You want to go like less than a centimeter away from the end of the thread, because then it's like almost like a needle at that point. Okay, it doesn't bend the way it does when you're holding farther away from the end. Okay, and one more trick is to have your fingers touching on your left and your right hand. Kind of have your fingers touching because they stabilize your hands as you work the thread through the bead hole, like this. Okay, and then another tip is that if it doesn't go in through one end of the hole, turn it around and go in through the other end. Okay, there's lots of tricks here. Okay, so that's on there. Working with the skinny threads can be a little frustrating. Yes. Okay. So here we go. So I did my P, now I'm going to do a 4, and then we'll take a look. Okay, I think I like the way that's going. So we're going to keep going. So on this side I'm going to put the gem, on this side I'm going to put the silver bead. So it's going to zigzag back and forth. Again, make your fingers touch as you guide your thread through the beads like this. So you work with your fingers very close together and you kind of hold the bead still and you take the thread and you push it through the hole like this. Okay, don't try to have your bead like this and then try to get it on there without your hands touching, and also try to move the bead to the thread. It's easier to control the thread because it's smaller. So have your fingers touch and then poke it through. Okay. I wish there was like a faster way to do this. Because the beads are so tiny. Like, you know, with knotting, just straight knotting, you can actually pre-string all of your beads and then do all your knotting. For this one though, it's hard to pre-string all the beads and then just do all your knotting all at once because the beads will be all over here. We were discussing like we could try putting all of the beads on the string and then winding the string up in a bobbin to kind of have short ends and to control the thread easier. But I felt like I didn't want to try that in this video because there might be some challenges presented in that approach. But if anybody wants to try it at home and give us a report, please do. Okay. There we go. Do we have any questions out there in YouTube land? Not yet. Okay, so I'll try to move faster now because I'm going to talk a little bit less so I can concentrate on my knotting and not make mistakes. Okay. Oh, and then one more trick to this knotting is, again, working close to your piece. So we're not working with the ends of the string. We are only working with the portion of the string that's close to your work. Here. See, like this. Okay. What does everybody think so far?
I think they're all enjoying it.
I hope so. I think it's kind of cute like that with the beads alternating. Okay, and then this is just a random mix of beads, so I'm picking them up very randomly. So, but it also looks good if you do it with just, you know, in a pattern, or even if you use all the same kind of bead, you can do that too. Let's do one of those.
So while Michelle is working on her project, we'll keep the video camera on her hands so you can ask any questions about the technique. If you've never done macrame before, we really love this project because it holds the tension well. So when you make your knots, you don't have to worry about slippage, you know, too much, because the microcord is it's a really nice material. If you've never used microcord before, we like it because it's long lasting. Like, I think when we first started carrying this, we did a test where I tied it on my ankle for a couple months and I was just waiting for it to fall off. And then we're going to say, okay, if it stays on our ankle even a couple of weeks, we'd be stoked. But it was actually a couple months. I finally ended up just cutting it off because I had this piece of string just on my ankle. And so we do try to test all our threads to see like the longevity. So that was a really nice one. Microcord is also really nice for macrame. So Michelle's macrameed with this.
Crochet.
Crochet and baby knots. These are all techniques that we have done in the store. We have videos on the same channel we're at right now, the Bead Gallery. And so, wow, we've been using microcord for how many years, do you think?
Oh, maybe like 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So it's a very thin nylon and it's twisted. And it doesn't untwist, which makes it really fun to use.
You say lattice wrap?
Oh,
That's
and
one of our most popular.
this is our most popular video on YouTube called the lattice wrap. And so Michelle does that video, and in that video, I think, we should do a lattice wrap. We'll do it in August. We'll do it as a make and take, or make and take a demo. And this is the lattice wrap bracelet right here. And so we use microcord on this as well. It's nice because it's burnable. So we like that. How many colors do you think we have?
We have about 25 colors. And they come on handy 100-yard spools.
Ooh, 100 yards.
That's
Hey,
a lot.
Jason,
They used to come on even larger spools. That was
Yeah.
like the lifetime supply
lifetime
spool.
supply.
Yeah.
Do you think you can zoom in on her hands a little closer?
Yep.
Okay, so please ask us whatever you'd like to do or see, because we had a customer say, could we go in a little closer? So we're like, sure. Jason is going to pop us in a little closer. Oh, that's nice.
Tighter.
That's good. That's awesome. So now you can see how close she's pushing the bead. Michelle has super good tension too. So like when you're watching her and you're like, oh, mine might not look like that. I have a loosey-goosey hand when I do macrame. And so everyone's going to have a slightly different touch when they do your knots. So don't worry too much. You know, the more you do it too, you can start controlling if you want it tighter or looser. There's a benefit to both. Let me put
Yeah.
up close. Right there. So now you guys can watch it in the direction that Michelle is doing it. I'm going to flip the camera for all the other scenes.
This is very relaxing.
I was going to say it's super. So my plan was to talk to you guys
Sort of
about different
spacing
things, but
out.
I'm just standing here watching her do it on camera myself.
Oh, what kind of beads is she using?
Today she is doing a mix. There is some citrine, it's like peach moonstone, smoky quartz, lapis, rainbow moonstone,
Ooh, labradorite.
labradorite,
Pyrite.
pyrite.
Looks like there's tanzanite in here too.
I know. I see there might be garnet. Am I imagining that? This one right here? This little red one right here.
Maybe.
Some
I think we also put
amethyst.
sapphire in this mix.
Yeah. This is a super cute mix. We have these for sale if you're interested. Just, check our website. I'll put them up, or you can text us, comment. We are so findable. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Phone call.
All out there.
Yeah, we are your social media bead store. Let me see if there's any. When do you use microcord, nylon cord, and wax cord?
Ooh. I guess it depends on the look that you want. Yeah. Like, because we had to use the thinnest thread possible for this project because the holes in the gemstones are so small. And then the wax cord, if you can find, wax cords tend to run a little bit thicker They're really nice to knot with though, because the knots really stick in place. So, you know, if you're a real beginner, or, you know, if your 7-year-old is doing it, you may want to use a wax cord, because it'll hold your knots really well and it'll stay even when you just do the first half of the square knot.
Jason's going to get us some so we can show them the stickiness and
Okay.
just press it together. So we will show you what that looks like.
Did we use that in our Heaven and Earth Bodhi
Oh yeah,
bracelet?
yeah.
Okay. And I chose, yeah, I chose a navy color for this. I like the way that it goes with the muted colors of the gemstones.
It's nice.
Yeah, and I like also the way that it contrasts with the leather, so it becomes more of a design element and
Yeah.
a way to add color to your project.
I like the way it crisscrosses on the light colored leather.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show them some wax. Okay, let me go here and I'm going to turn this camera around. So,
I'm still going.
turn
I'll just keep going over here.
this one. Transform. Vertical.
I was a little iffy about the alternating, but I like it.
Okay, so while she's doing that, I'm going to show you. This is wax polyester, and this stuff is sticky. Look, it's so nice and sticky that I made a. You can just make it stand straight out. Pretty cool, and then it sticks to itself like this. It doesn't stay sticky forever though. Michelle was telling me that, you know, somebody made one with it, Joan, right?
The
And
wax washes out over time. The nice thing about that is the wax, and it holds its knots really well. It wouldn't work for this project with these particular beads, only because it runs a little bit on the thicker side. So if you did this project with maybe some 8/0 seed beads, or larger, like we used to do this project with 4mm cubes.
Yeah.
Or the 5/0 triangles that Miyuki makes. That had a really cool look. So if you have those seed beads cruising around your stash, then you can try that. It's a really neat look. We used a thicker core as well for that. We did the 3mm leather core, 2 of them. No, actually that one we only did one, a single. A single piece of leather. We wanted to bulk this one up, so we used 2
And it
pieces.
stays flat. I like it because it's more like a band.
Yeah.
So we have Allie says, I'm still trying to get my crimp on. So Allie, let us know if you're having problems getting your crimp on, because one thing that you can do,
You cut the leather, and then you can trim it at an angle so it makes it skinnier on the tip, and then it should feed into your end crimp. It should.
try use sharp scissors too.
Yes. And because this was actually really roomy, because this is only 1mm kangaroo, there was a lot of space in my crimp.
Ask away, people. You have Michelle, me, and Jason all to yourselves right now. That's rare. You have 3 of us right here. for
Attentively
any-
listening to you.
Yep, we are scanning for your questions.
Okay.
You know, that's one thing I think we miss about being an open brick and mortar store is like all the questions that people would come in, and it's just amazing and so heartfelt to be able to connect and say, hey, we have some ideas for you. We have some tips for you. I miss that part, but it's nice to be able to do it on YouTube, so I'm glad we have this. Allie said, I was having trouble crimping it to hold the leather in place. I think Michelle's hands are much stronger than mine.
Oh, yeah, my hands are really strong. Just takes a little bit of practice. Also make sure the tip of your chain nose plier is just between the 2 bands on the edges. It needs to only cover the middle band. Because if you're trying to squish the entire tube, the bands on the edges are a lot thicker.
Just in the middle.
Yeah.
Between the barbells. Okay. I've seen some people try to take their plier and cover the whole entire crimp and squeeze it. That's a no-no. You can actually break the end crimp. So we are using 3mm end crimps with 2 pieces of 1 millimeter. So we have 2 millimeters worth of leather in a 3mm end crimp.
Well, if you have one that's a little bit smaller, an end crimp that's a little bit smaller, you could probably still use that. But our next size down is 1.5, which is really skinny.
Yeah,
that only fits one piece of leather, thin leather.
Pauline said, "Are you using the spacer bead from earlier today?"
Yes, this is a 2mm round sterling silver bead. So yes, Jamie did show that earlier today.
Thanks for asking. Because when Michelle's putting this kit together, she goes, "Let me use those beads you were showing earlier."
Yes.
And I'm like, "All right."
I like them because they're sort of almost like an upgraded seed bead.
It is, yeah.
They're
it
sterling.
Is an upgraded seed bead.
Yeah. But you can definitely use seed beads, especially if you want to introduce like another element of color. Yeah. Or you could do all seed beads. You could do 2 different sizes of seed beads. You could do 8 O's with 11s in between, so you have kind of a alternating size look.
While you are doing that, I'm going to show them some of the beads we've done it with.
Okay. Yes.
So
I'll still be here.
she'll still be there. This is mine with rubies. So I've had this one for probably like 10 years. So I did one with teeny tiny rubies faceted. So I love this. As long as you can get your microcord into it, you are all good. And then the picture of the ones on the side are mixed gemstones. And so I wanted to show you that if you just have any kinds of gems at home,
What's a good way to use up leftovers?
Because I think there's about 60, maybe 120 beads in action on this. I can tell you. Let me see. Yes, so there's about 60 like focal type ones on here, and there is probably just the same amount of seed beads. So by mixing seed beads with gemstones, you can go really, really far. So Michelle put these kits together a couple years ago. We love it. We named them after Disney princesses. So the beachy one is Ariel. The strong, mighty colored one with the oranges and the reds is Belle. Yes. Belle. And the soft romantic one with the pinks,
It's Juliet.
the purples
Not
is
really
Juliet.
a Disney
Yes.
princess,
So,
but close.
yeah, this is Juliet right here in my hand. So you can use any bead on this. You could even, my gosh, I was like, what if you made a super thick, chunky one? It would look like train tracks, right? So imagine like you have 2 super thick pieces of leather and you have these big balls on the side.
You could do that, yes.
That would be kind of different. We should, we could do that in one of our future episodes of Will It Work or Won't
not?
It? I'm excited about that series. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any questions for Michelle. Please ask us. We are here for you. We're actually doing these classes for you because we totally want you to be able to bead and feel comfortable. Because one thing about beading is it really helps if you have feedback, right? Somebody around to kind of say, hey, you were like, does this look good together? Or will this work if I use this size thread? Or, it's just very encouraging. There's something about beading that really brings us in together to enjoy it as a community, nicely brings us together as like a spirited group of people of like minds and like hearts. So I love it. Oh my gosh, Michelle, you're going pretty fast.
Yeah. I'm trying. I want to try finish this before we're done.
So if you guys don't mind, Michelle's going to keep going. You can drop in, come back. We will keep this on replay on YouTube. But I think what I'll do while she's doing it is talk to you about kangaroo leather. So I'm going to fill in the gap with just some educational material. Okay, so we've had leather for 20 years. And some of our leather over the years, the Indian ones that made out of cow especially, would break. The leather would have like kinks or nicks or, it's just not
Weak
one
spots.
piece.
Yeah.
Weak spots. Perfect. That's a good way of describing it. And so we would make something and then you'd be finishing or you tie a knot really tight to end it and then it would break. And we'd be like, oh my God, oh my God. It's like the worst feeling, especially when your leather is like the core of your project. And there's nothing you can do except say, well, I've got to go do it again. And just pray that you didn't get another piece with a weak spot. This went on like at least a decade, right? At least. Because we've been in business 22 years. We've broken lots. So then we started to do this thing where we grab the leather and we just pull it before we do anything, right? Because better safe than sorry. And then a couple years ago, we discovered buffalo and kangaroo leather. And both of them are really strong. So you don't have to worry, how would you say, worry about
it snapping on you.
Yeah. Failure, basically. It just reduces that by so much by using a really strong leather. So she's using the 1 millimeter kangaroo. I think it's super duper strong, and I would love to give you a demonstration of the test of episode 1 of can we break it or can't we? So I am going to try and break this for you. Okay? So Michelle has super strong hands.
Don't hit me.
So I'm going to go first and not elbow her in the face, and then she can give a shot at it because Michelle has super strong hands. So if she can break it, I mean, that means it's taking a lot of poundage, but I'll use my old arthritic hands first.
Don't hit me.
Okay, let me wind it around.
Okay.
Because like sometimes if you wind it, you can get that.
Or if you do an impact, then just really fast and hard. Don't hurt yourself.
I can't. Okay, so now that I've thoroughly weakened it, let's see if Michelle can break it.
I don't know if I can. This stuff's really, really strong.
Well, if you can, then episode 1 of
I'm gonna make.
Will we break it or won't?
I'll make a cut in it and cheat. Hold on.
Okay, let's see.
Oh. No, that's hurting my hands. Yeah, that's really strong stuff here.
So
I don't know if I'd bet my life on it and just hold this and hang from a balcony.
That's true.
I wouldn't do that, but like in terms of like breakage, it doesn't even give. Yeah,
it doesn't.
It's cutting into my hand.
Yeah, my fingers are like sore and red.
Okay,
so
that's pretty strong stuff.
Will it break or won't it? It won't. So that was a pretty cool test.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should go find other things in the store.
No, now my hand is sore. Thank you.
Pass.
Okay.
This passed the test.
Yes.
Okay. And back onto
my hands.
Her hands making this bracelet.
Wait, I got distracted.
So kangaroo leather. This is 1 millimeter kangaroo leather. So if you like to do that Chandlu style lattice wrap and you also have experienced that breaking and so sad, I would say try this leather. It comes in what, 4 colors, yeah?
Yes. Very natural colors though, black, dark brown. I'm using carnelian. And then there's a natural color that's kind of like this color here. Maybe just a shade lighter. And that one's nice because it gets darker with age.
I like leather.
Yeah.
Now, we had a question about this. So I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. This is the Rex board. So
named after Rex.
After Rex who made it. Brenny's daddy. We had our first friend's husband make them, and we were like, can he make a lot? He was like this.
No. We had to outsource.
So it was like gold, right? We had just a few, and we were like, oh my God. We're all sharing this macrame board. And then when Rex was like, I can bust these out for us, then we named it after him. Thanks, Daddy Rex.
And now we sell them.
Yes.
Postage is a little expensive though, but if you do really want one, we can ship one to you. Or you can go to Office Depot and get a clipboard and get a handy husband or wife who's handy with the tools, or brother or sister. Anyway, and then all you got to do is take off the clip, get this little piece of wood, or it's big, and then you got to screw everything back together. See?
Don't forget to file the wood smooth.
Oh, yes.
Because, my God, getting splinters while you're beading, that's
not cool.
That's not good.
Maybe we can have Daddy Rex do a demo of how to make
Daddy
a Rex
board. Yeah. Can you please show us? Uncle, we make a video.
with his power tools.
So what else do we have to show them? Microcord? Would you like to see if that would break?
No, that's too It's really strong. I want to hurt my
That's
hand.
good. I know, I don't want to because that
We
would
did
cut
that
through my
already.
hands.
Yeah,
I really don't
yeah.
want to try that.
Okay.
But microcord is super duper strong. I
Yes.
mean, like one of my favorite necklaces that I have with microcord is I took a piece of string and I tied a clasp on the back and a ring, and then the string goes through a very beautiful citrine brulette, and that was it. And I made a knot. And people go, "Oh, that's such a nice necklace," and I'm laughing because I'm like, "It's just a piece of string." I didn't really
With a
make
gemstone.
anything. And I don't want to take credit for making like an awesome designer for tying one bead on a piece of string.
I've seen that though.
Look at Michelle's bracelet.
I'm almost
She's
there.
like jamming through that.
Almost there.
Now,
Give me about
magnet clasps.
15 more minutes.
Okay, so magnet clasps are really awesome, okay? We really use them a lot. But one of the things that's scary about it, and I can tell you a scary story. I made my mom this beautiful Juju bead bracelet, and I put a magnet clasp on it. Then she went to Costco or Times, and she was pushing the cart at the supermarket, and she noticed that her wrist got stuck to it. And then one day she didn't have the bracelet. And I was like, I bet you she got stuck to it, and it just is hanging off her grocery cart.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you do about that, Michelle?
Oh, we decided that you can start to put safety chains on your magnet clasped pieces. Now this only works for bracelets.
Yeah, you cannot use safety chain on your necklace.
No, sorry. It'll have to be a very long piece of chain, and that looks awkward. Yeah. Well,
Actually,
maybe
what if
make
you did a necklace and the safety chain was the second strand of chain, right?
You could
And
try
so,
that.
Yeah.
It's part of the necklace itself.
episode 17, will it work or won't it? The safety chain necklace. We should try that.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a video on YouTube. If you look up the Bead Gallery magnet clasp, where we show you how to measure and add a piece of safety chain onto your project, so that way you can also do that. Magnets are really handy for people who have hard time pulling a latch on something. You know, if your fingers are a little bit stiffer, or you just can't get it because it's tiny, or if you have really long manicured nails, which is the thing, right? Then those people with just a bit of challenge opening up a teeny lobster may like a magnet clasp.
Yes.
With safety chain.
Yes.
So, what else are we using today? Magnet clasp. What else can I tell them about? Thread Zap. We told them about that wonderful tool, right?
Yes, but I like glue.
So I use a lighter, but then I also end up burning myself. And sometimes I burn my own knots, and then the piece breaks, because all you need is a little breeze that hits the flame flickers, and it just burns your thread. Boom. So if you are going to use a lighter to end your threads, don't do it where there's wind or a fan on. So that is my helpful tip of the day.
I find using the lighter a little more challenging when it comes to thin threads like microcord, because they burn really, really fast. Really fast. So I'd rather have a more controlled way of finishing off the threads.
Yeah.
When it's really thin.
I agree.
So the Thread Zapper is also a controlled way of melting your nylon, so that would work.
Are you going to use that today so they can see?
No, I'm not so good at the Thread Zapper. I like glue. I like glue.
There's
I'm
glue.
into glue.
I'll write you I'm going to make you a poem right now about Thread Zap. I'm going to do it in 575,
No.
which is haiku style.
Okay,
So,
you go.
because it burns fast,
No, you're distracting me. I put the beads on the wrong side. So that
line one of my haiku for Michelle. Because it burns fast.
I think that's more than 5 syllables.
No, because it burns fast.
Okay.
Do not use a lighter now.
Use a Thread Zapper.
Boom!
Yeah.
You're beating poetresses.
All right. There we go. Do we have any questions yet? Anybody?
The question, no. What the question was, are you almost done?
I'm almost done. Give me a
Nobody
few more
asked
minutes.
that. Nobody asked
Okay.
that.
Sorry about
Not
that.
a single person asked that.
Okay. I'm sweating.
I know.
Sweating.
Can you
on
imagine
these
though?
Did you
legs.
put the end crimp on? Try to ask her.
Oh, Allie, did you get your end crimp on there? Jason wants to know if you did. We would like to clap for you if you did. Success. And I will recant my clapping if you did not. I could write her a poem too if she doesn't get it on.
Yeah.
What, 575?
Yeah, I would do another haiku for Allie if she has hard time.
Please,
with
no
the-
bad poetry.
and crimp. Allie waved hi, and Darlene
Hi.
says, love it. I don't know if Darlene loves the project or our haiku. One thing that's really nice, though, about doing things like this live is it shows you how doable a project is. You know, it takes out the, oh, this is real time, you guys. This is not speeded up. This is just us beading, chit-chatting, and you know, when we do other lives, you're so welcome to bring out your projects and do it with us, you know. I know you can't really reach out and say anything, but you could type to us. And I mean, I hope you know that we're thinking about you, because surely me and Michelle are not doing this for each other.
No.
We actually miss you guys, and we're like, let's do some videos.
Yes.
But I'm really excited. Darlene liked our haiku and yours.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
really excited about our new series of Will It Work or Won't It?
Uh-huh.
I mean, how about you guys? Do you think that you'd like to see us do a Will It Work or Won't It series? Because I love trying things, and failing, I don't really, you know, it doesn't faze me, because, I mean, there's so many things you can learn and then adapt and make something new from it, right? It doesn't end.
Yes. Actually, you learn more from failure than
Yeah.
just succeeding blindly.
We have this challenge I want to do at the store where we take some vintage glass beads, and yeah, remember my vintage glass beads challenge? And I want to put the camera up and have me, Jason, and Michelle kind of like challenge each other to see who can make something with these beads. So that would be a challenge. Oh, we could do it as a YouTube challenge.
Okay.
That would be fun.
Okay, and so for all the people who thought 2 yards was way too much string, I mean, it's a lot of string, but I have significantly less string right now that I'm almost done with my project. So I think if I cut less than 2 yards, I would have been kind of worried about running out.
Well, one thing that's really nice about having it long is when the ends start to dull on your thread.
You can trim them.
Yeah, when you make it too short and you're just like, it's all fuzzy and you're like, you can't get it through, that is like pure frustration.
Stressful.
Yeah, then it's not
Yes.
fun.
And we can't use really a needle on the microcord going through the gemstones, because when you use a needle, you have to be able to pull a double length of whatever stringing material you have through the bead holes, and these holes are just barely big enough for one. Yeah. So a needle would make it easier to string, like a lot easier, but in this case it is not practical.
One thing that they could do though is use that dippy thing.
There's this stuff called fray check.
Yes, fray check.
And it's a liquid seam sealer. We don't sell it, but I heard they have it at Walmart and other fabric notions places.
But you gotta dip it the night before.
Yes.
This is not like
You have to plan
10
ahead.
minutes. Yeah, you can't be like 10 minutes in going, okay, I'm ready now.
Because it
No.
takes several hours to dry.
But it does make it stiffer.
Yes. So you'd want to, if you ever pick up some fray check from your local sewing place or Walmart, because I know they had, you have to get your threads and prep them in advance. So you dip them the night before, or at least several hours in advance, just the two ends, and dip like maybe the last 6 inches or so to make it really stiff.
And then,
And then you're going to
Got it.
trim it at an angle, and then you can keep trimming it as needed.
do you think nail polish would work?
No, what I think that does is it's going to thicken your threads. You know, I think fray check is rather on the thin side in terms of viscosity, and so it won't leave a layer on the outside. Honestly, I've not really used fray check.
I have.
Yeah, it's something that we used to carry
Yeah,
many
I
years
actually
ago.
like it.
And I don't know if it bulks up your thread the way that glue would or wax, because you know, those are other things you can try to use to keep the thread ends together at the tip and make
I mean,
it
there's
sharper.
good old-fashioned licking, but
Yeah.
now with COVID, I don't recommend it. Or if you wear lipstick, oh please God, don't lick your
No,
thread.
yeah. And sometimes the licking really doesn't help too.
Makes
I
you-
mean, it makes one, and then you got to keep licking it. Trimming it at an angle, very helpful though.
Then it's like, do I still give this as a gift?
Oh yeah. trimming your thread at an angle is very, very helpful. Also, the way that I discussed earlier on how to control the thread ends, holding your fingers together, that's really helpful.
We have a question.
Small movements, yes.
Lynn saying, have you changed your knotting? It looks like you're doing the left with the number 4 and then the P with the right. No, I think that's
I think
pretty
we
much-
flipped the camera, that's
Yes,
why.
yes. So she has been doing, P is always on the right,
Yeah.
and then the 4 is always on the left. Because when you think about the letter P, it faces to the right, right? When you think about the number 4, it faces to the left. So, yeah.
Yes.
She is still doing that.
I think so. Now I've got to concentrate. It's hard to beat and talk at the same time.
It is.
A little.
It is.
Okay, now I'm going to measure this because I don't want my piece to get too long.
That
And I
bracelet's
know,
so cute.
I know
kinda
you guys
it.
want me to finish up soon, so hold on. Let me do this one last knot here.
Super cute.
All right, if I'm anywhere close to 6 inches, I think we'll call it a day.
Maybe it'll fit me though.
Yes. Well, then anywhere near 5 inches, we'll call it a day. Oh, no.
Oh, I think you have to put
Wait, hold on.
6 more.
Let me see.
Unless we put a huge
Where are we
clasp.
at now? We're at just under 5 inches, so I'm going to put a few more beads on there. So,
And she's just doing a random pattern.
Yeah.
And so you don't really have to think it out. A lot of times you just can just go for it and it can be super fun.
although in this piece here, we did do a pattern, and it's very pleasing to the eye. So, you know, I guess it depends on your personality.
I'm going to hold them both here so they can see pattern versus random.
And then mono.
Well, this one is this one's a pattern in the effect that I'm zigzag. I'm doing the same thing over and over.
This
It's just the
pattern,
colors
yeah?
of the beads.
That one you just kind of just
That
do.
one's random. Yeah, yeah.
So cute. Or you can do all one color, which I also
Yes.
really like.
Okay. So yeah, if it looks like we flipped around, I changed my knotting. It's because we flipped the camera, so it looks more like what you'd be looking at yourself, right?
In
The
some rounds,
perspective.
she has done the left side first, then she does the right side
Oh.
second.
You can do that too. Oh, so I'm not really paying attention. But you know what you can do is, if you want a more balanced piece, it takes more concentration, but you can alternate which one you start with. As long as you do one series of a P and 1 4, you're fine. Whether you start with a P or you start with a 4, it doesn't really matter, because as long as you finish the entire series of a 1 P and 1 4, you're gonna make a knot. And I've been beading with half a brain for this because I've been talking a little bit more than I usually do. But if you want to be like have a more balanced pattern, because my knots, if you start with a P every time and then you end with a 4, your knots are all going to face one way. If you want them to face alternating ways, and then you want to really think about what you're doing, you can start with a P, and then the next knot you can start with a 4. With
So-
the micro cord though,
Yeah.
it's so thin you can't really tell which one I started with. In thicker threads you can, because there'll be a little bit more space on one side of the knot than the other, because it pulls at an angle. Yeah. So sorry if I'm confusing you. My intention was to start with the P's all the time, but I'm not really paying attention, honestly. And you can't really tell. It's
Yeah.
holding its shape.
It's because
Yeah.
the thread is so thin. You can get away with that. When I do work in a thicker thread, though, let's say I'm doing a Chinese knotting cord version, I do go P4,
And then
4P.
Yeah.
P4,
Yeah.
4P, because then you can see the lean of the thread.
Yes.
But when it's that tiny, I mean, like, I can't tell.
And then when it comes to stringing the bead, it doesn't matter which side you string on first. So that might also be confusing.
Oh, that's right. You have to pay attention because you are alternating
Well,
the
I am
silver.
alternating. But whether I
Yeah.
put the bead on the left string first or the bead on the right string
Yeah.
first, it doesn't matter, because
Right.
a
But
bead
it has
goes
to
on
be
each string.
alternating. You can't just be randomly picking
Oh
any
no,
thread.
I'm going left and yeah. I'm alternating what bead goes where.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Got it. Okay. Pay more attention to what I'm doing. Any other questions?
Oh, let me see.
Our observant friends in YouTube land.
Well, no more questions.
confusing
And Michelle's
you?
actually almost done with the project.
Yes.
So let me tell you what she's going to be doing.
Okay.
She is going to end her last knot. She's most likely going to glue it. She's going to take her leather ends and stick it into the end crimp. And she's going to squeeze it, put on the clasp, and then let me wear it home.
I'm going to show you how to do the safety chain.
Oh, and she's also going to show you safety chain.
To go with the magnet clasp because it is in our findings pack.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'm kind of lazy sometimes. I know I should put safety chain on my projects, like on mine, but then I don't.
Okay, I want to end with this last one.
And then I've lost stuff.
Yes.
And you think I would learn from that.
No.
But I just still don't put safety chain. I don't know why. Because it's not hard. I think what it is like...
I think getting the extra piece of chain.
Yeah, and then finding a piece of chain that's like 2 inches and being like,
I like to use like 2 1/4.
Michelle uses 2 1/4. I think you'll just find out what your size is because it depends if you have like a big hand going through.
Yes.
Or if you have a little hand. I like my safety chain tight because I have a big hand and a smaller wrist. So if I make my chain fit my hand nicely, my safety chain droops like really low.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to end here. I'm going to tell you my beaded section is about 5 1/4 inches. This will probably fit you. Okay. And then notice like I'm going to just knot my ends together one more time. And for this one, I'm going to just do a square knot. Okay, and like I said, the micro cord is so thin, you could probably make a bunch of these knots and it'll be fine. Because the knots are very low profile, they're not bulky at all. Okay, so I did a square knot. You can do another one if you want to be really safe. So what I can do is, I'm going to...
I mean, if you're super worried, you could just make knot after knot for like 10 knots.
I'm going to flip my piece over and tie the knot on the other side of my piece as well. So there'll be a knot on the top and a knot on the bottom. Oops, sorry. Okay. So there was a knot on this side, and then I pulled the threads around, and I'm going to do a knot on this side, and then I think we're good. Sorry. Take this off. There we go. And for the second side, I'm going to do a surgeon knot. Here we go. Sorry. I don't know where my screen is anymore. So a surgeon's knot is, instead of going through my loop one time, I'm just going to go through 2 times. Like this. And then pull tight. Okay, and this is a knot I'm going to hit with my glue. So we like to use this glue. Here we go. We like it because it has a needle applicator and it dries clear, but it also does not dry brittle. Like crazy glue dries really brittle. And then if you use something like nail polish, you can flip it over. That tends to make it really bulky and a little bit messy. So we like this, and I like the needle applicator. Okay, once you get the glue on there, you pull tight one more time. Okay, because that kind of sucks the glue into the knots like that. Okay, so we'll just leave that there for now. What I'm going to do to finish is, I lost my end crimps. Hold on, you can let go. Oh, not my end crimps, it's my... Oh, you took it. You took it. Here. Here's my end crimp. And basically, here we go. You want to trim the end of your leather so that it's about the length of the end crimp. Like that. So you want to trim it so that it's about, what is that? Like a 1/4 inch. Because we're going to feed the leather into the end crimp and then squash the crimp. So I'm going to trim this. I'll just leave my things on the side while the glue dries. Okay. So I trimmed that to be approximately the length of this tube here. You see? It sticks out just a little, but that's okay. Even if it sticks out a lot, as long as it doesn't block that loop there, you're okay. And then I'm going to get my chain nose plier again. like this. And again, we only want to squish the middle band here, like that. So I squished one edge of the end crimp. Then I'm going to flip my piece around and squish the other edge like this. I'm kind of using the tip because I can't cover the entire middle band with the jaw of the chain nose plier. I only can do so far in because otherwise the plier jaws get too fat and it doesn't fit in that section. Okay, so you're going to flip it back and forth and squish each edge pretty evenly like this. All right, I think we're good here. And I think my glue is fairly dry. So I'm going to cut away my thread ends. You can cut pretty close to the knot. Don't cut your knot though. There we go. And so I have my piece here. Now I'm going to add my magnet clasp with the jump rings. And I'm going to put the safety chain on at the same time. This is about 5 inches of safety chain, which is enough for 2 projects. So I'm just going to trim this down to the length I want. I don't think my jump ring is going to fit through the teeny link on the end, so I'm just going to cut that away. Measure about 2 1/4 inches or so. We'll go right here. Okay, so now I have a section of safety chain that's about 2 to 2 1/4 inches. You do 2.5 if you're not sure. And then I'm going to attach my endings. So I'm going to get my chain nose on my flat nose plier and I'm going to open my jump ring like this. Then I'm going to hook all my things on there. So I'm going to do the safety chain, my bracelet, and then my clasp like this. And just close that jump ring to keep everything together like this. Then the same thing for the other side. I'll open my jump ring again, my second jump ring. So when you open jump rings, you want to have the seam like at 12 o'clock, hold on either side and just swivel it open like this. Okay, so we're gonna put that on there. There we go. And hook everything together. Swivel the ring shut. And then there you go. So when your magnet opens up like this, at least the bracelet doesn't just fall off your wrist. It'll sort of hang on there. So let's see if I fit this now. Well, it goes over my hand.
There you go.
I don't know if it's going to fit around my wrist. We shall see. Oh, no, I think I'm too. Oh,
Okay.
here we go. Oh, no, it fits me. Look.
Ah!
And there we go. We have a finished Love Story bracelet. Here, I'll have Jamie try it on because this one's a little small on me.
It's so nice.
Okay, and you're not going to lose that if the safety chain is on there. There you go.
So true. Okay, this is like is that Cinderella the story? It was meant to be.
Oh, that looks good on you.
Oh, it's so nice. I'll take a picture and I'll post it on our Instagram and our Facebook so you can see how gorgeous this is. It's nice.
Oh, so everybody who's still there, thanks for sticking with us and watching me make this entire bracelet.
Wow.
I don't think I've sat and made that in one sitting ever.
The pressure was on.
I guess so, right? Oh, that only took an hour.
That's
I know.
No,
Seriously,
that's
that
an
was
hour.
just an hour.
That's an hour.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call this my hurricane bracelet because it's all mixed up and there's all kinds of things happening. You know, look at that. Lovely. Okay, if you need supplies, call us. If you need more help, give us a text, an email. I'll put all that information. And if you just need like encouragement, reach out because we are here to help.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much for staying and watching.
And
if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel.
Like it and hit the notification bell
Smash
because
that
we want
bell.
to do more lives. We definitely want to do more lives. So you'll see us around some more. Bye
Thanks for watching. Aloha.